want to ask again for those listening and interested, because a lot of the filmmakers that I talk to, they're very hopeful. They submit their films to film festivals and this sort of thing, and they win some, they lose some, they
Right.
win a few, they lose most. You have, and in just a short time you've been doing this, you have 3 pages. And so I know that you have a sort of formula, as it were. So tell us a little bit about that. What is it that, why is it you think that a lot of your films win at these film festivals?
If actually, that's funny. A friend of mine was, she has her own podcast called Filmmaking. Actually, if you want to check that out, feel free. But
Okay.
she was talking about,
Hmm.
festivals and stuff the other day, and she mentioned that I can't remember exactly what she was talking about, but she said, oh well, you see all of our wins, you don't always see all of our losses.
Right.
So as much as I've had a lot of nominations and stuff, I've also lost a few too.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, with any film festival, you're kind of, you're rolling the dice and you're hoping for the best. I think when you have, projects that are, interesting and relatable and, maybe have a certain amount of creativity, involved, I think it can help you get into the film festivals.
Hmm.
Like for example, the short film that you showed, Indecision, where you had the one guy playing 3 different roles. That was probably something that a lot of film festivals aren't used to seeing. They're not used to seeing, a character who's, battling depression and, arguing with himself, while doing it, which is, I think, something that, a lot of people with, with depression, for example, that's something they do have to deal with, where, they have one side of their brain saying, maybe you should just, end your life. Another side is saying, oh, but what about, why not? Why would you? You have all this great stuff going on.
Hmm.
So, I think when you see interesting stuff like that, interesting dynamics like that, I think, it's a little more interesting. But you also have to consider. Oh, sorry.
I want to interrupt on that one. I think you're right about that because I see a lot of films that are being made on mental issues.
Right.
And I think that's one of the distinguishing factor here is that you don't see it internalized. You don't see the characters and
Right.
it's interesting because you actually dress the characters differently.
Right.
So now, I don't have schizophrenia or depression, so I don't know how the characters appear. If in my head, if I'm talking to myself, would it appear differently? But
Right.
it's very interesting that you represent them differently. And I think you're right. That could be one of the secrets there. So go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I was just going to say, I think when you have, characters that, are going through, like an emotional issue that people can relate to, like, for example, that character with depression, or, even with the trailer for In the Pines that was just shown a few minutes ago. You have a character who, he's a little suspicious of his brother-in-law. Obviously, he's worried about, his daughter. I think that's something people can relate to. Is sitting there thinking, oh, I have to worry about, my kid's safety and my family's safety. These are
Hmm.
things that people can, look at and say, like, oh yeah, I've been there, or oh, haven't been there myself, but I totally empathize with how he's feeling.
Hmm.
As far as film festivals themselves go, if I may, you also have to consider, if you're any project that you're going to make, you have to consider, how much, how much of your head you're going to beat against the wall, in process of, sending the project out. Because, I mean, technically you could have I can make a short film tomorrow and I could spend the next, 5 years, submitting it to film festivals and stuff. But you have to consider, how much money do you want to spend on the festival? How much time, how much available are you going to be if you get into these festivals, in terms of, going to those film festivals and traveling and everything else. Because adds up financially too. I've been to Las Vegas a couple of times for, a film festival. I've been to, Virginia. I've been to New York. Obviously I'm on the East Coast, so going to Virginia and going to New York, not too bad. It's just a, 2 or 3 hour drive to get there. But, for Vegas, you have to sit there and think, okay, I gotta buy a plane ticket, and I gotta get a hotel room. You have to consider how much you're willing to spend, in terms of, submitting to film festivals, because the film festivals themselves, they cost money as well. That, like I said,
So
that
are
money
you
adds up.
saying but you only have to be there if you win or nominated? Am I correct?
Well, technically anybody could go. I mean, if there was a film
Right.
festival, if there's a film festival taking place this weekend, I could say, okay, I'm going to go. You know, festivals are great, especially when you're starting out, because they're a great, networking opportunity. I have, had times where I've gone to film festivals and I have made deals. I have, sold screenplays at film festivals.
Really? Okay.
Yes. So,
Okay. So
but
the secret here is to be more involved if this is your goal and this is something you want to do with regards to being nominated or winning at these festivals. You have to be a lot more physically involved, is what I hear you saying.
absolutely.